One of the things I love the most about learning languages is that whenever I come across with a new expression, I always try to find its equivalent in the other languages I speak. Let me give you an example. A couple of days ago, I was out with some friends. You know, the typical get-together where friends who haven't seen each other in a while meet up for a drink. These were my lifelong friends, the ones I grew up with. So, of course, we were speaking in Spanish. To be honest, I don't really remember exactly what we were talking about, but all of a sudden, someone in the conversation said something like, Creo que voy a tirar la toalla. Tirar la toalla. I paused to think and I asked myself, what's that in English? And in French? Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you what tirar la toalla means. Imagine you're in a boxing fight. I mean, you are one of the boxers. Things are going great because you're absolutely dominating your opponent. Suddenly, from your opponent's corner, you see a towel flying through the air that lands right in the middle of the ring. Your opponent's coach has thrown in the towel. You've won the fight. Your opponent has given up. That is what this expression really means, to give up. In French, we can find the expression jeter l'éponge, and in English, we can use both, to throw in the towel and to throw in the sponge. Beautiful, isn't it? I really like finding these similarities. It shows how close distant cultures actually are. But don't think that in Spanish, we only have this expression for when we want to say we are giving up. To give up in Spanish is rendirse. Notice how it's a pronominal verb, meaning that se separates from the verb and goes in front. Yo me rindo, tú te rindes. You know how it goes. In Spanish, we can also say dar el brazo a torcer, darse por vencido, claudicar. Each one with its own particular nuance. Actually, there are more, but we are going to look at these three. Can you guess where this expression comes from? It's from echar un pulso. You know what echar un pulso is, right? Exactly, arm wrestling. And in arm wrestling, if you let your arm be twisted, it means that in a way, you are letting your opponent win. In other words, you stop trying to beat the other person, so it's basically like giving up. And that's the main nuance here, giving in to the pressure of the situation. I'm going to give you some examples. Después de discutir por 2 horas sobre el precio del coche, el vendedor finalmente dio su brazo a torcer y me hizo un buen descuento. Mis padres son muy estrictos con los horarios, pero ayer dieron su brazo a torcer y me dejaron volver 1 hora más tarde. Aunque todos queríamos ir a la playa, mi hermano no dio su brazo a torcer y al final nos quedamos en casa viendo una película. If you have made it this far, it means you are serious about learning Spanish. Learning a new language is just like hitting the gym. You can try to go it alone, but we all know how that ends. You eventually lose motivation because you don't know which exercises to do. You aren't sure if your technique is the right one, and moreover, it feels like you are never seeing any results. With a language personal trainer, you can fix your mistakes in real time. You learn what you actually need and progress much faster, because you are training with someone who can point out your flaws while having a laugh, because honestly, it feels like hanging out with a friend. Así que ya sabes, deja de estudiar español y empieza a hablarlo. You can book your first Spanish lesson for free. Check out the description. Let me tell you a personal story. I really love cycling. You know, I'm one of those crazy people who goes out on the open road on a bicycle. I love cycling around the city or putting in a few miles on county roads while enjoying the scenery. I've always wanted to go on a long bike trip, a journey through several countries. And a couple of years ago, I saw the perfect opportunity to do just that. The idea was to cycle from London to Madrid. I started out full of enthusiasm. I set off from London, from the Victoria Station area where I used to live. I left London behind, made it to Canterbury, and from there to Dover. I took a ferry to cross the English Channel and from Calais headed towards Sedan. That's where I had to darme por vencido and call off the trip for good, because I'm not as young as I look and my knees just can't take as much as they did 15 years ago. Honestly, when I think about it, me da mucha rabia that I didn't make it all the way to Madrid by bike, but at least I enjoyed giving it a shot. Did you notice how I used the expression darme por vencido? Me tuve que dar por vencido. I had to give up. I'm going to give you a few more example sentences. A pesar de las dificultades para aprender inglés, ella nunca se dio por vencida y finalmente aprobó el examen. Fíjate que aquí está en pasado. Se dio por vencida. No os deis por vencidos. Todavía estamos a tiempo de ganar el campeonato. Si ves que el ejercicio no te sale a la primera, no te des por vencido. Vuelve a intentarlo. This verb is super formal, but I wanted to include it so you could expand your vocabulary, at least a bit. You have to learn to express yourself correctly. Otherwise, you will end up sounding like those people who use like for everything. You know what I mean? Like bro, like bro. According to the RAE, if you don't know what the RAE is, let me explain it to you very, very quickly. Basically, it's the institution in charge of deciding what's right and what's wrong in Spanish. The RAE is responsible for putting together the most important dictionary of the language of Cervantes. If by any chance you are a philologist, a linguist, or a historian, please don't get mad at me. Understand that I'm making a very short summary so we can keep learning Spanish. If you guys want, I can talk about RAE another day because honestly, it's a topic I'm really passionate about. As I was saying, according to the RAE, claudicar means acabar por ceder a una presión o a una tentación, which translated into English means to finally give in to a pressure or a temptation. So, we could use claudicar in sentences like el jefe no quería cambiar de opinión, pero al final tuvo que claudicar ante las quejas de todos. A pesar de los problemas que tiene el negocio, ellos se niegan a claudicar. Llevaba semanas negándose a vender la casa, pero al final claudicó y aceptó la oferta. Estuvimos a punto de claudicar y dejar el proyecto a medias cuando de repente apareció un nuevo inversor. Tirar la toalla, dar el brazo a torcer, darse por vencido, and claudicar. 4 expressions you can use from now on to say that you give up, so don't ever do it. Giving up is for cowards.